I wouldn't mind that. At least you could see it coming. But when it's a nice guy, a nicely dressed politician standing in front of the camera going, I will demand an extra $100 billion for Siamese twin vampire crack moms, under the age of 12. Because I'm standing up for my constituency. And just cast it out. I've just given you a way to cast out any kind of cursing. Pretty cool, huh?
That means I'm going to have to be independent, and I don't like being independent.
You don't like being independent?
I like being dependent on some system also.
What do you mean?
Something that can support. I guess what I'm saying is that I don't think many people are ready to take charge of their lives.
Oh, of course not. They don't want to.
So they would rather blame it.
Of course they would. Of course they would rather blame it. Of course they would rather blame it. Of course. Because it makes it easier. It's not your fault. Why do you think so many guys get pissed off when they hear about speed seduction? Let me tell you something. I've been hanging out with my buddy Steve-O. He's a yoga teacher. He gets all these chicks. They invite us to all these parties. I've gone to more parties in the past 3 months than I have in the past 5 years. And whenever we go to a party, invariably, a guy gets pissed off. A guy recognizes me. That's that speed seduction dude. And the girls who recognize me, cool, you're that dude from Magnolia, aren't you? Blah, blah, blah. The girls don't want to talk to me. They have no problem. The guys are deeply threatened. They don't want to believe that there's a better way to do things. They're the ones who are pissed off. It's fear. How dare you come up? Now I can't sit on my ass and settle for, Miss Ugly or just believe fate's going to bring her along. And you mean I'm responsible? I have to get up and do something? They hate me. They do. He has to throw them out or get the host of the party to throw them out. They're the ones you're right. People don't. And who benefits? If the population wants someone to take care of them and do everything for them, who benefits? Government. That's right. If you really believe that you were in control, that you were in charge, that you could make your life the way you wanted it to, are you going to cooperate with Big Brother? If Big Brother says, just give me 80% of what you make and I'll make you perfectly safe from cradle to grave, what are you going to tell him? Kiss my fucking ass. Exactly. So in a sense, this is the most subversive political thing you can do. It's teach people to be powerful, free, independent, people who think for themselves. It's an incredibly dangerous thing. That's why it doesn't leave this room. We are teaching a course in patriotism today, right?
The more responsible you are, the less likely you are going to be followed.
That's right.
With some kind of program to vote a certain way.
That's only stolen from you in the first place. That's the cool thing. They steal the money from one pocket and hand it to you in another. See? That's why, that's magic. To convince people that they need you is magic. It's black, pardon me, I mean no insult, it's black magic. To me, white magic is the magic that gives everyone more power, more choice, more capability, more belief that they can stand on their own and do things. And here's the thing. It's only, and I'm going to get off the soapbox in a minute, but it's important that you guys hear this and understand it. It's only in a place of scarcity that you feel you need to cheat other people. If your life is abundant, if you're standing in a place of power and abundance and choice, you don't need to cheat other people. That's when you become most generous. Because you can afford to give. You have surplus. You can afford to give out of your surplus. But if you want people to be greedy and small and cheating, just convince them that they're worthless and that they need some central authority to take care of them. And then that central authority can say, see, you are greedy, you are worthless, you do need us. Without us, you'd be worse than you are right now. It's the ultimate con. Yes?
It's interesting that you brought that up. Racism, in a way, is negative magic. It's magic used for the wrong purpose.
Any kind of collectivist thinking.
Because what you said you excuse yourself when you said black magic, but that black in the past was a symbol. It was a negative symbol. It no longer is, but it was used that way.
Any kind of thinking that convinces you that your identity is not based on what you choose and what you do and how you think is taking away your power. Whether it encourages you to be proud of that identity or ashamed of it, it's still the same thing. It's the same. It's not because of anything. People used to ask me, "Are you proud to be Jewish?" I said, "Fuck no." Well, what do you mean, fuck no? Isn't Einstein Jewish? I said, "Yeah, but I don't recall helping him with that theory of relativity." I had this debate back when my brothers used to be Jewish. Now they're born again. God. Well, aren't you proud of, being part of this? Aren't you proud of being the same people that produced Freud? I said, well, first of all, Freud was wrong. And second, I didn't help him with that theory. Same thing. If I didn't do it, if I didn't have a hand in it, it's not I don't have any right to be proud or any need to be ashamed. It's only what I do, what I produce. But let's get off this. This is more like politics, and there's some people here who don't want to hear it. So what is all this comprised of? What is it that goes into luck in the shape of events? I really started to think about this. And how can we take all these things that have happened and unbind them? How can we unbind the energies, complexes, patterns of thought? Because here's the thing, and what I came up with the word templates. What came to me is this, it's not all the things that happened in your past that necessarily keep you stuck. That's not what keeps you stuck, that things happened in your past. It's the energies, the complexes, the patterns of thought, and the templates that go along with them that keep you blocked and keep you stuck. Now, I'm gonna talk to you about this. So if you're feeling a little puzzled and thinking, what do you mean, Ross? I'm going to show you and explain it to you. Fair enough? How many people here came out of the womb walking? First of all, how many people here in the room walk? How many people came out of the womb walking? So for how many people was it that the first 9 months, a year of your life, you did not walk? You didn't have the capability. You crawled. Okay. At a year old, if you look back into your past, as far as your ability to walk, what would you see there? Complete disability, complete inability to do it. Okay? But yet that doesn't bind you. You learn to walk. Why? Because that age, you're not capable of binding yourself. There's no complex or thought form or patterns or templates or energies of frustration really that stay attached. Does that make sense? You don't bind yourself. You stay unbound. Even though you have a past loaded with not being able to do something, you don't bind yourself, so you're able to do it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because even though physiologically we are capable of walking, it's still a skill we all have to learn, correct?
We see others doing it.
And we see others doing it. That's true too. Others give us encouragement. So I began to think, okay, I know that there's something else going on here. It's just not a matter of the skills. There's something else going on here. So how do we begin to unbind from the energies, complexes, patterns of thought, templates? And then I also wrote down decisions, emotions, mission. This seems jumbled because it's coming right from my notes, but I'm going to unjumble it for you. Patterns of mentation. Mentation just means thought. Response. Action. Desire. So we got all this stuff in there. It's not just the events that happened. It is not, what I want to point out to you, it's not the events that happened. The things that keep you stuck are the decisions, the emotions, your overall sense of life mission, the patterns of mentation, response, action, desire, the energies, the complexes, the patterns of thought, the templates. Does everyone know what I mean by a template? A template is like if you want to, an example of a template would be, how do they print currency?
Use a plate.
They use a plate. They engrave the plate and then they can stamp the plate on paper and make paper money, which isn't real money, but we'll get to that later. Okay, you get it? So a template is an overall set of things that you can just reproduce something over and over and over again. Does this make sense? Okay. It's when you go and you start unbinding this that all of this starts to shift and change. Because according to what is put in here, it's not the events that happen, it's what you put in here that will continue to draw to you similar things. Luck is just about similarity. Luck is about familiarity of events based on all of this. Luck is a form of universal familiarity. Because I think the universe is drawn towards what's familiar too, so it gives you emotionally what's familiar to you. That's why it's not about if I do X, I'll get Y. It's if I do X with the right energies, complexes, patterns of thought, I'll get Y, because that's what will feel familiar to the universe to give you. It's a weird kind of way of putting it, but we'll put it another way. I know I'm not quite formulating this clearly yet, but I will. Just follow along. Let me give you an example. Let's say something happens to you when you're 3 years old and you conclude, women are bad, they always bring me pain. Okay? That's the decision you've made. All right? So it's not the event, it's a decision. Once you make that decision, all sorts of energies are going to be bound to you and all sorts of patterns of thought. Once you make that decision, that takes everything here in the future and is going to glue a certain kind of energy to you and a certain way of responding to the world. Does that make sense? Or I am a person who's always going to have pain with women, or whatever. And you glue that to you. If you've glued that decision to you, then I can give you all the tools in the world to be successful with women, but that's going to be controlling. Not the tools, but this. Does that make sense? How many people here honestly have felt very stuck, even with all the tools of speed seduction, it still ain't working? Okay? Because you got this stuff in here. You've bound yourself.
Those are all examples of what I call meaning.
Right. You've glued meaning. Humans are meaning-making creatures. Humans crave meaning the way we crave food or sex. Even the stupidest human wants to make some sense out of what they're doing. This is why part of being powerfully persuasive is helping people find the meaning in what they're doing to you. Humans crave meaning. So let's say you make a decision, life is painful. Then what are you going to attract to yourself as you move through the world with even the best tools? That's right. I'm being serious about this. Then anything you see that is not painful, is your unconscious smart enough to recognize that it won't cause you pain? Yeah. They'll go, oh, that's not going to cause me pain. It's not real for me. Push it away. Does that make sense? And then you go, well, I'm always the person who fucks things up with women. It never works out. That must just be my destiny. It's because at some point you decided that, hey, oh well, women are about pain, or I'm always going to have pain with it. So your unconscious looks for things that are going to confirm that view. and it will push away things that are not. That's why when women say to me, I'm just not attracted to you, I'm going, that's because I ain't going to hurt you in all the ways you're used to. Okay, if that's what you want, go find it elsewhere. What you say again? People have the ability to change decisions.
Yeah,
it's one thing to rethink a decision. It's another thing to organically really change it.
Right. So what's even holding that decision constantly?
The emotion. Emotion glues things to people. And repeating it. See, it's not that these events make you continue to have these results. It's what you've glued to the event. Does that make sense? Because if you've glued all this stuff, you're going to push away what would unprove it. And you're going to draw to you what will. And also the thing is, if it's deeply held, whatever is held at a deep level of consciousness is going to tend to be what the universe tends to shove your way. Now I want you to understand something. There's no difference really between a deeply held belief at a deeply unconscious state and a desire that you magically put into your unconscious to be projected into the universe. They have the same power. If you deeply believe something to be true on a deep unconscious level, that's no different than sigilizing a deep desire, suppressing it into your unconscious so the universe will manifest it. Because you're not consciously aware about it, so it constitutes a magical act of forgetting. One of the concepts in magic is if you're too consciously focused on something, it gets in the way. So in some forms of magic, particularly chaos magic, we teach you to magically forget your desire. We teach you to take the desire, sigilize it, see it in the sigil, and then forget the whole thing. So there's no difference between beliefs, decisions, energies that you hold at a deeply unconscious level and a magical act of manifestation. Do you get that, Zach? Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
You see the correspondence? So of course you're doing deep magic here. Now simply becoming consciously aware of these things isn't enough. You can be aware of something without changing it. You can be in a plane crash. The plane is on fire and headed for the ground at 32 feet per second. And you may be aware of it. Doesn't mean you have any power to change it. You're, I'm going to crash and die. Well, that's nice. So simply being aware that these things are in there, which is what therapy does, it brings them to your conscious awareness, isn't going to change it. Well, it doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't. Therapy is good for some things, I suppose. Sometimes just having someone there who will actually listen to you, even though they're only being paid to listen to you, sometimes that can help. You want therapy that works? Massage therapy works. I'm all for massage therapy. Sometimes, I don't know if I want to go on this sidetrack. No, I don't want to. I want you guys to get this. So, it's not that all these things happened in your past. It's all these things that you unconsciously, out of your conscious awareness, attached. Now, one thing I realized I'd been doing when I really stopped and thought about this, I thought of the word mission. One of the reasons why, quite frankly, I have not had all the success, listen to the modifier, with speed seduction that I would like to have for myself. I mean, I've had a lot of it. But the reason I haven't had all of it that I'd want to have is I realized something. I thought, you know what? What's your mission? When you think about your mission is to help other guys manifest this stuff. You're putting other people first. So naturally, if that's your mission, then that's what the universe is going to give you. So I changed it. Now my mission is it manifests for my students only as fast as it first manifests for me in every possible way I want it to. And the minute I changed that mission statement, a whole bunch of other things started changing for me. Do you get it? So some of you may have had mission statements pounded into your heads by your parents. Well, you're here in this world only to help other people. If you accept that on a deep unconscious level, how are you going to manifest for yourself? I'm serious. How is that any different than a curse? What do we say a curse is? A curse is any construct that what? Let's read back our definition. Curse is this little thing in my back.
Keeps people stuck in a certain identity or condition.
Right. A curse is any construct that keeps people stuck in a certain identity or condition throughout time. Right? Unbounded in time. Well, so if you accept at an early age, your parents say, now remember, you're only here to help other people. And then you want to be successful in something. Are you going to kind of like push your own success away? Are you going to allow yourself to feel pleasure when you do something well that doesn't involve other people? Huh? Yeah. Or you could have the opposite response. You become an absolute selfish bastard as a reaction response. Does that make sense? Yes or no? I don't know. I'm not. No. Sometimes when I teach, I can't tell if it's that you're not following or it's so profound you're like in trance thinking about it. So tell me which it is. How many people are not following at all? Raise your hand. How many people are kind of in trance because you're thinking about the implications? All right. Spend 5 minutes and think about the implications. I'm going to shuffle my notes. I want you to really think about the implications. The more impact you'll have. That means if you use a lot of words, your intent is not to have an impact, but just to hear yourself speak. So use few words.
I can do that. I talk to myself all the time.
Good. I know.
I've been revisiting Enneagrams, and I've found them.
Oh wait, it's just what were you going to say? Does it relate to this topic?
Yes, it does.
Are you feeling embarrassed? You get very red when you're embarrassed.
Good. So I'm just wondering in terms of a predisposition to being a certain way. I mean, there may be traumas that people have had.
Yeah. But
there's also,
predisposition.
In their core.
The core of who they are.
All right.
Well, we're using neurolinguistic boogeymen again. I don't believe in cores of who they are.
Well, that was
I don't believe in it. I believe it's a neurolinguistic construct of Western culture that is not useful. Eastern culture doesn't believe there's a core of who you are.
Core is whatever you put in.
Yeah. Magically speaking, that concept is not useful. That's my answer to you.
The core is pure potentiality.
Yeah, I think the core is pure, unlimited potentiality. The answer to your question, it's a good one, is if there's an actual lot of emotional and physical abuse, those things can be unglued, but it's not just enough to look at them linguistically. You have to use energy and symbolism and breath and even evoking entities, and that's what we'll get into later in the week. But it's a very good question. Okay. So, we're looking at all this stuff, and what occurs to me, one of the things that popped into my head is not about chronology. It's not about when it happened. But it's about all these things that have been included. So when you're doing conjuring, you also have to remove all this, I think, from the present and the future. It's sort of like a notion of, if all of this is stuck here, I believe it's sort of like, this is just a metaphor. You send out like probability waves. Probability waves that select the events to prove to you that this really is all true. And that's why consciously you're left scratching and asking, why is it still not working? Well, it is working because on the unconscious level, all the stuff that you're holding is sending out like these probability waves to attract all this stuff to confirm that, yes, it's true. Does that make sense? So it is working, but it's working based on what you've unconsciously put in, not on what you're consciously wishing for. There's a difference between what you're consciously wishing for and what you've unconsciously drawn to you and programmed in. Does that ever feel that way to you? Does your life ever feel like there's a big difference between what you consciously appear to want and what you're actually getting?
Like you're sabotaging yourself?
Yeah. Well, this is what's going on. And magic is a way to completely unbind this. Completely unbind this so you step into some really amazing total freedom. And guess what happens when you do that? You become very attractive. Because people sense, wait a minute, this person is unstuck. I want more of this. this is pretty cool. I'm going to figure out how to get some. Jan's going, ooh, that's cool. I thought, you had a strong response. See, I encourage you all to spend time talking to my buddy Jan, because he doesn't spend time theorizing. He goes right out and tries things just with hilarity. You go, okay, I'll go try that. Sure, no problem, man. Is that right? I saw your response. You had a strong one, didn't you? Yeah, I know you did. So magic is about creating the templates and the energies and the focus of will. The focus. See, the solution to this, the solution to all this, is where you choose to focus your will. Focus your will, your energy, and what you choose to give meaning. I was talking to a female friend of mine. It's amazing how so many female friends of mine mysteriously develop crushes on me. I don't know how that happened. It's not you. I'm not giving suggestions here. I'm not. I'm not. I'm really not. I swear on top of this life. When I make that kind of oath, you know I'm not kidding. Where was I? Oh, I said to her, look, I said, I know, listen to me, follow the sign. I said, I know there are a lot of people who have hurt you in the past. And I know you put up walls to keep pain out. And you're right, that works, it does keep pain out. But what you haven't yet considered is that the walls also keep your limitations in. I said, and you didn't even build those walls. The people who hurt you the most built those walls, and that makes them the architect of your life. Because it requires architects to do that kind of design. So congratulations. Those walls, every time you choose to maintain them, you're choosing to let the people who hurt you the most be the architect of your life. And she went, oh, you're right. So the fact that all this stuff has happened to you in your past, that's all well and good. But it doesn't have to determine what you're going to create or where you go. And part of magic is learning to focus your will. Now, by will, I mean focused attention. This is a good place to start. We're going to go to lunch in half an hour, okay? So this is a good place to start to talk about some of the elements of magic. And we may as well start with this one since we're talking about it. Will. The notion of will is a very strong element of magic. You ever have a wishy-washy daydream that didn't go anywhere? Raise your hand. Okay. Will means something else. To me, will means concentrated, focused attention. When a painter or sculptor is totally enmeshed in what they're doing, and they filter out the rest of the world, that's will. That means all your energies, all your focus, all your intent is aligned on one thing. Does that make sense? The irony is that unconsciously you've got this stuff all running in the background. That's where your will is. Zach, since you're a magician and you actually been doing this a long time, what would your definition of, let me give you a microphone, what would your definition of will be?
Jesus, I've been working on that one for about 10 years.
I know you have, but give some good operational definitions of will. What it is and what it isn't.
An operational definition of a will is a desire that is aligned with the totality of your being. Both unconscious and conscious resources are lined up behind it.
So it's like the difference between, here's a metaphor. Is everyone, who has not seen a laser before in their life? Okay. What's the difference between laser and the light you see coming from here? Who's here a physicist and actually understands lasers, how they work? Coherent light. No one? Well, lasers are coherent. That means they've got one tightly focused, completely resonant beam of energy where all the photons are vibrating at the exact right one frequency. They're all completely focused together. That's why you can take a laser and bounce it off the moon, but you can't do it. These lights are diffused. You've got all sorts of different frequencies mixing together. So use that metaphor. A wish is like the light coming from this. It's all diffused. But will means everything is focused behind one purpose, one intent.
Here's a good one, Russ. The sum of all vectors of intention.
The sum of all the vectors of intention.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Will has elements of focus, too. Your focus and your intent. Now, there's some traps in that, because you need to focus without being attached to the outcome. We'll talk about that. You need at some point to let go of the outcome. If you hold on to the outcome too strongly, it's the equivalent of opening up the oven and checking it every 30 seconds when you're trying to bake a cake. If you kids are going to pass notes, I'm going to read them in front of the class.
I didn't do it, he did.
All right, I'm going to read your notes in front of the class. I enjoy shoving light bulbs up. What is that supposed to be? I don't even want to know. Right. I mean it. If you distract from my class, I'll break you apart. I mean it. These people paid good money to be here. Right?
That's right.
Fucking better believe it. There's no such thing as bad money. They paid bad money to be here? I don't think so. Yates' ears perked up. Bad money? What? It's like bad sex. As long as I have an orgasm, it's good sex. Okay. Will is very important.
It's still pretty good.
Okay. Will is a very important part of magic. You have to have a focused intent. What's another important element in magic? Well, altered state of consciousness. Let's talk about altered state. Now, altered state. The last time we did a psychic influence thing, I noticed that the word altar and the word altar are very similar. Altar, you know what an altar is? Like you go up on the altar and receive communion. Altar state. An altar is an object that contributes to your altering your state. What do I mean by altered state, and why are altered states important? Anyone here ever been in an altered state? Anyone here ever have a drug experience? Come on. Anyone here ever have an orgasm? Anyone here ever have an orgasm while in an altered state, having a drug experience? And done something stupid as a result that embarrassed you and you regret over and over and over again. Come on in. What was that? Oh, hotel? Okay. So, an altered state is just a state that's different from the one that you were in before. So when we do magic, we want to design an altered state that contributes to our work, not that subtracts from our work. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Have you ever been in an altered state? Have you ever been in a state of absolute helplessness where you just felt so frustrated and so confused that you didn't think you could do anything right?
Yep.
Is that a powerful, useful, magical state? Yeah, for your enemy. You want your enemy in that state. What do you think warfare is designed to do? A lot of war is designed to demoralize the enemy so they quit.
And religion.
And religion is designed to demoralize the enemy so they quit. Does that make sense? When you put yourself into that state of learned helplessness, where you just feel you can't do anything to address the problem, congratulations, you've created an altered magical state from which to curse yourself. In fact, anything you do within that state is probably going to constitute a curse. So we want to learn to build an altered state where we believe what? That anything is possible? Would that be? What kind of things would you like to put into the altered state when you go to do something magical? If you're truly going to work your will in the universe. By the way, one of the things I found in doing magic is sometimes what you get is not what you projected for. Sometimes you get something a lot better. You learn that what you asked for was based on a limited, structured view of reality that just doesn't make sense for you anymore. For example, how many people here have been AFCs with women? What if, as an AFC, I gave you a ritual that allowed you to make the woman you've been in love with your whole life fall in love with you? Then guess what you'd be? An AFC in love with a woman who's in love with you, but you'd still be an AFC. And you never would have experienced the power of having sexual choice and variety with women. Right? So what if in the course of doing magic and connecting with the universe, suddenly the universe said, sacrifice that crush. It's keeping you magically bound. How many here have a crush on a woman? Come on, fess up. How many raise your hands? Stand up. Stand up if you currently have a crush on a woman. Zach and I tomorrow are going to ritually call you to the altar, and we're going to sacrifice that crush. I'm serious. If you want magical power, sacrificing a crush gives you tremendous power. Because a crush is a construct in which you have invested tremendous energy and thought. It's been an identity. It's been binding you. So we're going to ritually slaughter it like a lamb. We're going to slit its throat, spread its blood on the altar, and have you bathe in it. Because that crush is a construct that's been keeping you from seduction mastery. And as soon as you give it up and slaughter it completely and completely let go of that person, guess what? You're going to find ways to draw them back to you. And then suddenly you're not going to be very interested. I guarantee it's true.
Ross, that little practice.
Hold it. Stand up again if you have the crush. I bet you weren't prepared to ritually slaughter your crush on the altar, were you? I don't know who we're going to evoke for this. Zontar. Maybe we'll evoke Kamael. Would Kamael be good to slaughter a crush?
Kamael would be good.
We'll offer up the energy of a crush to Kamael, the energy, the angel of flame. He who moves through the universe and destroys stagnation. Where's the description of Kamael in that book? It's there. It's in there where he talks about group rituals. Yeah, here it is. Here. Possible applications. Increase of will. Initiating new projects. Enhanced sexual vitality. Increase of energy and courage. Keep standing. I call upon the mighty archangel Kamael, the burner, the wrathful one. He who destroys and purifies. He who cleanses all decay and stagnation from the universe. Kamael, the embodiment of power, of will, of purpose, of courage, of self-scrutiny and discrimination. Kamael, mighty archangel of Mars, bring your force and flame into our hearts. We're going to do this ritual with all of you, and then we're going to call you to the altar, and you're going to ritually slaughter.
I think you got people running away.
Your crush. That's fine. Now, should they symbolically represent their crush somehow?
Yeah.
How are we going to have them do that? Well, you and I are going to talk about that over lunch. But we're going to slaughter that crush. You're going to bathe in its blood with the power of my Sargi knife. Bring them all to the altar, brother. The more you give to Kamael, the more he gives back. Sit. Now we're getting freaky-deaky, aren't we? Can you just feel the change that will happen for you when you slaughter that crush? And how many of you give away too much of your energy to other people? How many of you give too much to other people? How many would like to have a lot more choice when it comes to who you give to and when and how much? Okay? Zach designed a ritual for that. I haven't even done the complete ritual. Just reading it has changed me. He created it. We're going to do that with them too, okay?
Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I have it on me. We'll do it tomorrow. Okay?
Cool.
What I'll do is I'll bring in here's an assignment. I want you all to go and buy some Dixie cups. No, that'll be Yates, can we provide Dixie cups for however many people? Little ones.
Sure. Ever have what size you want?
Yeah. And you know what? We'll charge it in the chalice, and then we'll just pour it from the chalice for them to drink. Okay? Because I know there are people in here who give away too much. You give as a reflex condition without thinking through, without choice, right?
That's right.
You want to get rid of that?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
We're going to put you through that one. So we're going to put this down, Zach. We're going to do the rituals we're going to do tomorrow are ritual sacrifice and slaughter of crushes involving evoking Kama-El. And then we're also going to do, you and I will go through the entire thing, and then we'll have people come up and we'll pour from the chalice. Okay? For those of you who give too much and give automatically, without thinking it through, without having choice, we're going to give you choice back. See, how do you unbind all these things? You do it through using the elements we're teaching you. Okay, so altered state. Do we understand altered state? What are some of when we design an altered state to do magic, we want to get rid of helplessness. We want to design in a state where we believe anything is possible. Correct? Would that be a good one? How about that we have the power to do our will? Anything possible. Power to do will. Clarity. I think those are useful for any working, but guess what? It also depends on what kind of working you want to do. If you want to do a cleansing working where you're banishing things and destroying things, you want to get in some energy of ferociousness, don't you? Would that make sense? Yes? So how do you get that? Through symbol. Symbol is a powerful way to unbind all those things that have kept you bound. Because symbol contains a lot of meaning.
That's probably how you bind it in the first place.
Yes, you bind it in the first place on some level symbolically anyway. So you don't view women as women. You view them as symbols of all the suffering you've had in the past. You don't see men as men. You see them symbolically as all the suffering you've had in the past. So we're going to use the same thing to symbolically unbind it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This is making a lot of sense to you, isn't it? Do you have magic in your background? Have you studied any of this before?
I studied a lot of myth.
Myth. Well, myth is just a symbol that's been culturally transmitted to an entire culture.
Right.
Yes?
Is there another word besides magic you can use?
Make one up. Yates would like me to use it. I don't know. What would you like to call it? Thalamic.
Retro neurological processing, kinesthetic rehabilitation.
Symbolic intervention.
Retros. Nonlinear change inducement technologies. Nonlinear change inducement technologies. TMR. All rights reserved. I don't know.
What is it about the word magic that you don't like?
Well, because he comes in my work.
Hold on a minute. Microphone. Where's the microphone?
Right here. She's got it.
Give her the microphone. Make her talk.
He's been coming to my work for a long time talking to me about magic, and I've studied some of this stuff before, but not knowing that it was this you were talking about. You just say magic, so I thought it was just magic. I didn't know what the heck you were talking about.
Well, magic, you thought like pull a rabbit
I
out
thought
of my ass.
tricks and everything else.
Like
but
what?
I never knew what you were talking about.
What did you think I meant? Pull a rabbit out of my hat, or?
Yeah,
Oh.
like stuff
Well,
like
so
that.
now you can just let go of all that. Oh, you know what? Spell it magic with a K. That's why Crowley.
Magic with a K?
Yeah, Magick,
Okay.
as to distinguish it from stage magic.
Okay.
Okay? Stage magic is fun too. Why? Because it creates a state of wonder, which is a pretty magical state to work from. The whole point of not knowing how the trick is done is that allows you to have that sense of wonder, right?
Can we bring that into our state?
Yeah, bring in a sense of wonder. Remember that sense? Here's some things, memories that will help you evoke that state. Remember the first day of school where you couldn't wait to meet all the new kids, if that wasn't stressful for you? Or how about that moment? How many people remember the last day of school before summer vacation, the last hour, when the clock started to tick slower? And you know how school clocks don't tick regularly? They stick for 5 minutes and then they go. But this time it went. The clock had constipation. It's pre-summer vacation constipated clock syndrome. And you know, you're pretending to be interested, and everyone knows there's no commitment to whatever the teacher is teaching. Not like here. Right? Because if you try to have that respond, no. All I have to do is make the face. You know what I'm talking about? That sense of, wow, it's fun time coming right up. You know what I mean? Those are some ways. I'm just thinking of TV Funhouse. They had a Christmas special and went, where to look for presents? In Dad's gun cabinet. And the kid is throwing the shotguns around. Up on the roof. And the kid's going, inside of bread. In your mom's underwear drawer. It's like, so I love that show. That's shocking. I remember the first time. Talk about sense of wonder. Does anyone here like Monty Python?
Oh, yeah.
Think back to the very first time you ever saw anything from Monty Python and what your response was. The first time you ever saw Monty Python. Like, what the fuck is this? This is so bizarre. Like the first time you ever saw any speed seduction stuff, didn't you think, what the fuck is this? This can't be real. That's what I thought. Okay, so altered state. Will, altered state. By the way, these are some of the same things you'll use for psychic influence, which we'll do Saturday and Sunday. I think they're pretty much the same thing. The only difference is magic draws from weird symbology that psychic influence doesn't. But they're basically working on the same mechanisms. Okay? I know some of you may have come here more for the psychic influence side. How many people did? It's okay. But are you finding this of interest? Yes? A little or a lot?
A lot.
Yeah. Okay. They're the same thing, only magic just draws from symbol sets that you typically wouldn't use for doing psychic influence. Okay? Will, altered state. What else? What's another element of magic?
Imagination.
Imagination. That's right. Imagination. Imagination. You use your imagination all the time anyway, right? When you conjure a boogeyman in your head, you picture a woman rejecting you when you want to walk up and talk to her. You ever do that? Come on, how many people have ever done that? You ever get in a relationship and picture it failing? Picture the other person rejecting you and all the pain they're going to cause you? Come on. Well, guess what? You just programmed it because that's what you're going to do. You're not even going to see the possibility of how your behavior is creating that outcome. Now, I want to step back here for a second. I am not, how many people believe me when I say I am not an airy-fairy, hug everybody, everything's beautiful, white light, new age, tofu eating vegetarian?
Not me.
Okay. I believe there are aspects of your reality that are not your choice. It's certainly not your choice if Russia launches a nuclear warhead and vaporizes Los Angeles. It's not your choice not to die. You die. But in the realm of your desires and how you relate with other people and what you create in your life, the vast majority of it is strongly contributed to by you in one way or another. Does that make sense? So, if, for example, I do not believe, if you're walking down the street and someone grabs you from behind and beat you senseless, that you caused him to do that. That's bullshit. That's a sick, twisted intellectual distortion. I'm not talking about that.
I thought we created our own reality. It was all part of God's plan.
Yes, and my reality is you're going to blow me right now. So, okay? But I do believe in the realm of stuck patterns. If you're having a continuous pattern in your life, then you are strongly contributing to it. And you're probably not able to see how you're creating it.
Is there a way you could design it so that you see it, see the pattern, stuck patterns?
Yes. In fact, you'll see them in a way where they no longer are something that's so strong you have to do them. See, there's some things, when you visualize them, they're so strong because you don't even think about it. You just feel that emotional charge and you do it. You'll be able to see the pattern divorced from the emotional charge. So you just see and go, oh. Instead of having the emotional charge that glues it to you and makes you automatically do it, you go, oh, I could do that. I could have a V8. I could have Cheerios and milk, or I could go get a bowl of sugar frosted flakes. Doesn't matter. You understand? Yeah. We'll work on that. That's part of the unbinding. That's part of the pulling out all the excess meaning you've attached. Because once you pull out all that excess stuff, then you can look at those things as choices that you may or may not do.
Right. Well, I mean, you were talking about how you came up with a mission. What's my mission?
Right.
So you were aware on one level that there was a pattern there.
But not consciously. It drove me, but I never really stopped. It did, but I wasn't aware of the consequences to me.
Oh, right.
Okay, I had to become aware of the consequences to me and look and see how that was blocking my own manifesting. I hate that word because it's another New Age Shirley MacLaine, I desire to menstruate word. I once said of someone in the NLP community, his greatest ambition in life is to menstruate one day. I could be a nasty fucker, can't I? Well, that's my mother coming out of me. Who wanted to convert to Judaism? My poor niece, she's the one whose boyfriend is not Jewish, and they're talking about converting. She she asked me the question, even though I know he wanted to ask. She says, is it true that if Friday converts, well, that they have to circumcise him? I said, well, yes, that's true. She says, what if he's already circumcised? And I went, well, I picked up a table knife because we had just had dinner. I said, they have to get one drop of blood from it. And he's got to be wide awake. And the kid is like, his eyes, poor guy, his eyes are as big as saucers. I said, think it through. Are you sure it's what you want to do? And now I've got that anchor because I don't have to have the knife in my hand. All I have to do is do that gesture. My sister doesn't realize that. That's going to drive the kid away more than any of her lecturing or any of it. I said to my niece, why would you want to convert? Does he really want to convert? Why? Do you believe in it? She goes, no. I said, what about having the courage of your convictions? That's a matter of conscience. You don't do that to please other people. Where are the courage of your convictions? She doesn't have any. That's her problem. But she doesn't see that as a problem. See, that's just it. To her, it's such a pattern of who she is. She doesn't see it as anything that produces problems for her. When in fact the problem is not that the kid isn't Jewish. The problem is she's got a button on doing things that might displease her mother.